want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
Good day, Mad Men Mafia.
That's right. I am Kirk M. Samuels.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you. And you know what?
Man. We having these conversations.
How's your holidays going, man? I know we got the memo. We're all in our black, and we doing good.
Yeah,
it's dark outside already.
Man, my holidays is going good, man. I got a lot of stuff going on. It's supposed to be the most wonderful time of year, and it ends up being the most busiest time of year for a lot of people. A lot of stuff going on, and all that kind of stuff. And this is also the time of year where we wind down from one year, and then we begin to flip the page, and we're about to go into the next year. Then a lot of people get to thinking about the next year, man. And so I was thinking, man, how you feeling about your body, man? How you feeling about your fitness and your health going into the new year?
Why you gotta put me on blast like that? I mean, why you gotta make it all personal and stuff, man? Like, I feel about my body like I feel about my body. Like, I wish it was better, like most people, but considering my age and my fitness, I'm doing pretty darn good. But I also believe that there's experts out there. I also believe that there's people out there that can help us with those things. But one of the things I've noticed, and I know you notice this too, because we tend to go to the gym on occasion, but January seems to be a very strange time at the gym. There seems to be a huge influx of folks coming into the gym, and then they disappear by February. You know anything about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I for the past, probably the beginning of February, I will have been on kind of my own personal, I would say, health and/or fitness journey. And yeah, for sure, you do go through times a year where there's more people, times a year where there's less, and definitely everybody knows it's kind of like a stereotype at this point. It's definitely like beginning of the year, January, I'm gonna go join the gym, and and then I don't know,
New Year's
man.
resolution, I'm gonna get fit this year, and then you don't see their butt.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing we know people. It's a good thing we know people that can help us talk about the whole idea of setting goals and kind of getting on track with our health and with fitness and all those kinds of things, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, I understand want to have a New Year's resolution. I understand want to get fit in the new year, but for most folks, they don't set themselves up right. They try to go too big, too early. They try to do all these things too much. And so they need some expertise. We need some expertise about how can we set ourselves up for success, especially when it comes to fitness in the new year. And to do that, we brought in the expert himself, Mr. Nicholas Natt. So I'm not even going to try to.
What's happening, my man? What's going on, Nick? What's going on, brother?
What's going on, Kirk M and KB? Jason, I'm going to call you
man.
That works.
Perfect nickname for you, okay?
Most people call me JB anyway,
We're going to definitely get into kind of, what you do and all that kind of stuff. But, you got a pretty good social media presence. And if somebody were to do a deep dive, let's say on a Facebook page, they will see that at one point in time, you was a skinny, scrawny looking dude, man. And then they'll see that now that ain't the case. Now you was thick as French toast these days, man. And so, did you have some kind of personal fitness or physical journey or a journey of transformation physically or something like that in your life?
Yes, sir, man. Thicker than a Snickers, right? The short story, Kirk and Jason I think it starts off like most people. I think everybody has an idea when they're kids what they want to look like, and I was kind of the same way. I was always watching Power Rangers and Dragon Ball Z, and so you see these, these figures, these men who are ripped and they can do all the stuff, and you're like, man, I want to do that. I want to be that exact same thing, and then life sort of happens. Fast forward, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I got to undergrad. Obviously, my major I was pursuing that. And you kind of get to this, moment of reflection where you scratch your head and you don't really know if that's what you want to do. I think a lot of people in higher level education find themselves that way, and they might ping pong between majors and things like that. So I wasn't playing basketball, which I played competitively for 17 years. And the issue that came with that is you try to find yourself in other things. And, what helped me find now that I would say centeredness, confidence in my masculinity and the approach and just some of the basic things. Where you're going to find your identity in the world. How do you find your confidence going into interviews, approaching women, whatever that is in the gym. And, fortunately I had a few other friends who were a little bit further in that, in that path. So, they started off and said, hey man, you might try this. And, physical fitness was something that I excelled at an early age. And so one thing led to another. And fast forward, when I got out of school, I wanted to get some real hands-on experience. And why I didn't go the clinical route, I went more into fitness or biomechanics, because I wanted to be hands-on with people. And I felt like a lot of things at the time, yes, was working with people, but it was a lot of research. I love research. I love geeking out to research, but I want to work with people and apply and be a part of the application process. And so, man, the pictures that people will see, I was doing my first bodybuilding show. That was in 2012, shortly after undergrad. I was 196 pounds. And that show cut from like 204 pounds. And I was the big guy, and, today, I'm about 250, 255 off season. When I compete, I'll get down to about 230. But that's, about, 3%, 2%. So different body type now.
Yeah, it seems like it. And so just to clear the air, so it was because of you stopped playing basketball. That's why you got in the gym. It wasn't like, some girl did you dirty and all that stuff. I can hear all the ladies like, who hurt you? Why you spend all your time in the gym? What happened?
Well, of course, I think that happens in general, right? Like, we all that.
We all out there, we know.
Great breakups make the best bodybuilders. But no, for me, not playing competitively, I didn't have that outlet. And, when I say I spent, my time doing things I shouldn't have been doing, it's just your traditional stuff. You go to college, man, you're hanging out with friends and you're partying, but probably a little too much. You should be spending more time studying. And I studied, and I was a part of a Greek, and we did volunteer, but that was, 30% of the time. School was the other, 10, 15%. And the other half was partying. Senior year, it really flipped because, you start thinking about your future and you start recognizing that you don't want to be on mom's couch. I love the autonomy. I love the independence, but going to the gym just made me feel good, man. It gave me that sense of accomplishment in the short term. Long term, when you start seeing changes and when other people start seeing changes, you start gravitating. And mind you, Facebook had launched, but it wasn't what it was now. Instagram hadn't hit the scene. People were putting out workout videos, but, it wasn't full spectrum, high definition, transition the way it was. And so, I could say this, I really went through my own journey before I found the inspiration. And then a mentor of mine who helped me get my start in fitness professionally was like, you should do bodybuilding. And, I'm comfortable saying this now. I was like, oh, that's good. I play real sports. Thank you. I don't need to do that. And Men's Physique had just launched. And I saw a friend of mine, shout out to Alex Carnero. He was the first Men's Physique athlete in Colorado. And I knew him before he got big, and I saw what happened to his body. And, for lack of better words, it was like, I think every man wants to look like that. Like every guy I know, 6-pack abs, not monstrous, but like athletic, good looking. I was like, I want to do that. And how she sold me on it was, oh, that would be great for your resume. A lot of people would flock to that. And I was like, let's get rich. Yeah, absolutely. So it started off the wrong way, but it eventually gave me direction. It gave me structure. And as men, that's what we thrive in. We thrive having structure. We thrive having goals. And the gym seemed to be the glue, man, that I was missing, and it kind of helped bring everything else together.
Yeah. So if I do my public school math, that would mean that you've been kind of on the fitness journey, on the fitness train for 13, 14 years at this point. Is that about right?
Professionally, yes. That's when the professional career started. The athlete career started shortly after that, and then yeah, man. But I mean, really, I've been a fan of fitness my whole life. You know,
Yeah.
and every parent, every dad, every mom knows. You know, if you have an active kid, you go to the dentist's office, doctor's office, the grocery store, they're gonna find something to play with and hit siblings with. And I had 3, so you know, I've been a fan of fitness my whole entire life.
And then now you transition that into helping other people, right?
100%.
Working with other people.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Right.
And that is awesome. So would you say that and we're going to get into through the rest of this conversation, the rest of the show today, we're going to get into kind of how people jumpstart, or how people set their intention or direction or whatever you want to call it going into the new year. And so just in terms of just establishing a baseline. Now, I've heard this said, and I wondered if you think this is true, as we just as super quick as we're about to go into a break here. But would you say that muscle is currency in terms of your physical being, your physical health?
I think that's a great comparison. That's a great analogy. Muscle is currency. And, you know, like currency, if you don't have it, you don't really know what you're missing. But once you've been able to get the utility that muscle has in the many ways it does, and it's obviously multifactorial, you understand what it's like. You know, if I give somebody $15,000 every day for a week, and then you take that money away, they're going to understand what it's like having that kind of money versus not having that money. And muscle is very much the exact same way.
Man, I've heard that. I've heard that a couple times, and it especially in terms of long-term health. And some of us around here are getting older, right? I mean, some of us around here.
Speak for yourself, man. I'm ageless.
Some of us are changing the first digit on their age, around this time, not too long ago. And so as we get older, maybe there's also some benefit to that whole thing. But in any case, like I said, man, we're gonna roll to a break. But man, just there's got to be some key or some things, some nuggets of wisdom that we can give folks as they go into the new year, and as they might want to begin to explore, investing in their health, investing in their physical fitness, and all those kinds of things, man. So I'm so excited to get into this conversation. But we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Madmen of Masculinity on KL. Boom.
Did you mean to forget the DC, or was it just your mic clicking?
I don't know. Did it cut out?
It just said KL, and I was like,
"Oh,
was that me? Was that him? What happened?" It's that win,
I don't
man.
know.
That win.
That's what it is. Actually, it's funny you say that, because now I hear it is actually starting to kick up a little bit outside. Yeah. It's actually kicking up around here, man. I can hear it out the window now.
Where are you guys located? Where in Denver are you?
I'm in Parker.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm up in Breckenridge or Blue River.
Oh, you're up in Breckenridge. Jason, I have a friend who's going to Keystone tomorrow to go ski, or he thinks he is. Have you guys gotten snow up there, man? Have you guys gotten snow recently?
Man, it's pretty rough. Like, Keystone's the best right now. They've got the most terrain open, but it's pretty rough right now. There's still dirt, and half the runs aren't open, and most of it's man-made. So, but I mean, we're doing the best we can. But yeah, last year we had 18 inches early. This year it's nothing. So the East Coast getting all of our powder.
I hope. I'm assuming it'll happen. It's not the first winter.
Oh,
I think these have been the lack, but it's been rough, man. For the past, it's been rough for the skiers.
Yeah, I mean, normally we get about average. We usually get about the same amount of snowfall. It just depends on when it comes. So if it keeps going the way it's going, either we're going to get hammered after the new year, or we may just be dry. I don't know. We're hoping for the hammering, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I know it's important, man. I love, having the 60-degree days and the, things like that. But I know that the snowfall is important for
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
Most
Kirk and I were
important
playing
is-
golf last January, but I would rather come down out of the snow to go play golf than be up here and try to play golf here.
Right.
For real. For real.
All right, you want
Cool.
to
All right,
lead
here
off
we
on
go.
this second segment?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
And we're back.
Yes,
We
we're back.
are back. Segment 2, Madmen of Masculinity, KLDC, 1228 in the Mile High City and on the interwebs everywhere,
Y'all missed
globally
it.
around the world. Holla at
Yeah,
your boys, podcast platforms, Facebook, YouTube, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. If you're listening to us on the radio, you have to go check us out. We're all doing our poses in the mirror during the break, so
Mhm.
we're trying to be like our man Nicholas Natt, trying to be all swole.
Yeah.
But I think we need
Mhm.
some words of wisdom from the man because I'm not quite there yet.
You guys look
Dude,
good.
I'm about to rip my shirt off, man. I'm about to do something, man.
Posing is a state of mind. You guys crushed it. Oh, it is. The other stuff, we'll work on that. But you know what I mean? It's like dancing.
We got lots of work to do. We know that.
That's right.
Posing is a state of mind, being, because you can be big and green and be the Hulk, or you can be big and green and be Shrek. So, you got to make sure you keep that state of mind. You got to make sure you keep that state of mind right, And so, speaking of that state of mind, as we get into this new year, Nick, so Joe Schmo, Joe Bob out there is like, man, maybe I want to get into the gym. First of all, is January a good time of year to go, sign up and join a gym somewhere?
That's a great question, man. I think that question's like in the eye of the beholder, because I owned a gym for a little while and sold my equity in 2022. So, as a gym owner and a business owner, 100%. You should definitely come in January, right? I think for a seasoned veteran, you hear those gym memes about the gym being packed in the WWE reels, and people tend to be possessive and territorial about their regimen. But in all honesty, man, the best time to go to the gym is now. It's December, January, February. The best time to go is now. So if you're a person that's scratching your head, thinking maybe I should go to the gym and get some fitness, get some movement in January, for me, the answer is yes. I'm a health evangelist. Going to the gym is going to be better than not going to the gym. So if you're going to start in January, don't put it off. Go 100%.
So especially since we do a men's show, and I know how men do because I've done it myself, and a lot of the dudes do. They go in the gym and they try to pretend, okay, I may be 40 or 50 now, but I'm going to try to do my 20-year-old workout. And they don't come back to the gym ever again because they done hurt themselves. So could you, especially for us aged and older gentlemen, we'll put it that way, how can we get back into the gym successfully and set ourselves up for success versus killing ourselves and not never want to go back again?
100%, man. 100%. I was listening to this story of this guy in a book I was reading who wanted to run a marathon, and he was the man back in his glory days in high school, and he had that mindset like, oh, I'm a runner. I can, I remember what I used to do. We used to run laps like it was nothing, and he ran 2 laps and he actually fractured his femur, biggest bone in the body. So needless to say, he didn't run much more after that. And I tell that story not to, poke at the fun. I think you can find some humor in that. But the short story is that, people go back to the gym, and I think the thinking that put them in the position that they're in, whether you're struggling with a lot of deconditioning being that, you don't have that air, you don't have that capacity, that can do, that resilience, or you're not back in that strength, or you're not starting off bad, but you notice that you got some extra weight around the midsection. For men, we hold it in the gut. That's where a lot of the fat cells are. The important thing is coming back and building that identity. I say that first. What do I mean by that? I mean, you want to have congruency and you want to be aligned with the things you say. Don't be the guy that's like, oh man, I can get back in the gym. I used to love it. And then you say that you're going to go, 4 days a week, and then you end up going 2 and you justify it. I think it's important. Do what you say, build the schedule. If, a lot of these men are in relationships. If it's the anniversary, maybe it's an important day. You don't miss it. With your significant other, you're going to get in trouble if you do. So the same way that you would keep your schedule with your significant other on an important day like an anniversary, keep your schedule with yourself. Allocate that time. That time is for you. And the second thing I would say to the identity is, we don't talk about mental health as much as men as we should. And the reason I bring up mental health, even though we're having a conversation about physical fitness, is because a lot of times people disassociate those two and they're really connected. And if you go to the gym to give time to yourself, you're going to give time to your mental health. The best thing is you're going to shoot two birds with one. You're going to kill two birds with one stone, right? You're going to go to the gym, you're going to move, you're going to get some movement. That's going to be wonders for your body. But, you notice that as you go to work and you're solving problems and you're, having to, be the superhero of your life and the lives of other people, you don't feel as stressed. You don't feel like everything is stacking up against you. You feel better. You have an outlet to be able to channel that energy. And I tell people, men especially, all the time, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing having that aggression, that can do. That's part of what makes us who we are. But if you don't have an outlet in terms of being able to channel that, then when stress, pressure, anxiety does hit, that's going to get coupled the wrong way. And you're going to go try to find ways of alleviating that are actually going to toxify your health rather than perpetuate it. So I like to say that those are probably the two big things that definitely can accelerate why I think it's important going to the gym and what kind of mindset you want to have going back.
Does it matter which gym you go to or which gym you join?
That's a great question too. I think it does, Kurt. Me 10 years ago would have been like, nah, just, go to a gym. Start with the end in mind. It's a little bit deeper than I think most people think, but I think people think, with 2 degrees in front of them. And the reality is that when you make a decision to get your health back, we all have an idea of what that's like. That's like saying, be politically correct when I say this, but that's like saying, oh, I just want to date somebody that I'm attracted to. But everybody's going to have a different level of what they're attracted to or what they think is good music, right? Somebody's going to go and listen to the 90s. Someone's going to go listen to the 80s, and they're both going to think that this is the best generation of music. And that's subjective, and that's okay. But fitness, I think, is the same thing. Health is the same thing. So for somebody who might be a shift worker, going to a place that has a fob key, you can go in and out, I get off work at 4 a.m. I want to go hit the gym. Yeah, man. Going to a place that has a fob and allows you to have kind of around the clock access is going to be way more important than going to the big box gym or going to the gym that has the scene. If you're somebody that might have a goal, and you're like, hey, I got this tire around the waist, but I'd love to be able to ski. I'd love to be able to get back on my bike. I'd love to be able to do outdoors. That is probably going to be less important to you going to a gym that has the state of the art, dumbbells and the weight machines. And if you're a guy that's really interested in, a lot of people don't like admitting this, but they like to go to a gym because they like the environment, right? They like to go to a gym and it's inspiring, especially for us as men. There's something about, everyone says the big D energy is something inspiring, man. You go to a gym and there's a couple ladies around, they're getting after it. I promise you, man, you're gonna make sure that you're doing some stuff and not for in the bad way, but it's just inspiring. Or if you're there and you see, obviously somebody who doesn't miss their days at the gym, it's going to inspire you to come back. And so I think the question you want to ask yourself is not just what you want for yourself, but when you go to the gym, what makes you compelled to exert yourself? And keep that in mind because, people join the gym all the time and they're just like, oh, I have a gym right down the house. And I'm like, hey, but you don't go to the gym because there's no one in there. You're not excited. Mm-hmm. Or someone's like, I joined the gym, but man, they close at 10. And I'm like, again, probably want to join a place that has a fob, allows you to get in, get out, do what you need to do.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot more forethought that you need to put into it, which I think is very true, especially for guys getting a little older. I know one of my last injuries was kind of what you were talking about. You work all the time, you sit on your butt all the time, your muscles are not getting used, your ligaments are not getting used, so they weaken. And then you go back out thinking, "Oh, I'm just going to go do what I used to do," and your body says, "I think not." And then you get injuries. I had knee dislocations and stuff from just not not having the muscle strength or the ligament strength that I used to have because I was driving all the time and sitting all the time. And so, as somebody who wants to get back in the gym, but maybe they're a little older, what are some key things that they should probably focus on so that they don't end up hurting themselves and that can actually set themselves up for success moving forward?
That's a great point, Jason. Thanks, man, for being honest enough. Because I think the stigma for men is, oh no, man, I'll be okay. And it's like, no, man, you pulled your back. You pulled a groin, and that's a serious thing.
I was okay. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not. No, it's not funny, but it's a great point to illustrate. The first thing that I would say, and I think that this is probably number one for men and for women, especially if you have families, especially if you have kids under the age. Well, I guess even if you have teenagers, because you're staying up late waiting for them to get home, and you want to make sure that they're safe. Prioritize sleep. When I started diversifying my education in fitness, you start really finding out what really makes health multifactorial. And one of the biggest issues outside of inflammation, which a lot of it is what goes in our body, and I'm sure we'll talk about that, is a lack of sleep. People are underslept. I gotta get the work done. This has to get done. I need to make sure I do. I'm here, I'm there, I'm doing all these things for other people in other places. And when you don't sleep, you don't repair. None of us, right, Jason and Kirk, you wouldn't come to work and do the things that you're doing that support your lifestyle and not clock in and not get paid for it. And I think a lot of people are just like, well, I'll sleep, I'll make that happen. And one, that never happens. But two, you don't realize the detriment and what that causes. And I geek out on the science. I'm happy to elaborate on that, depending on you guys' questions. But the important thing is you don't have sleep, man. You are putting yourself at a negative state. You're probably going to wake up and eat things that you're not supposed to because you're insulin resistant, not insulin sensitive. Two, you're going to be way more susceptible to stress, and things that normally that you might, laugh. Your little girl, your little boy does something, it's going to snap, your spouse is going to say something snarky and you're just going to handle it in the wrong way. And the last thing is you're not going to have the energy to go to the gym. So I think what you can do is you can prime and set yourself up for success by going to the gym or getting rest. The second thing, we've all heard this saying, but I cannot say that there's any bigger truth to this. You are what you eat. If you go and you put something in your body and that's made up of ultra processed food, I'm happy to describe what that is, or, things that aren't high in nutrient dense, but extremely high in calorie, your cells of your body, the autophagy, the mitophagy, those things that what's supposed to happen as a natural process of turnover in your body is happening based on the nutrients you've given it. And if you haven't given your body what we call raw materials, injury is going to happen. Ligament's going to snap, and it's going to snap because you ate these things as opposed to eating minimally processed food or whole foods. That's your eggs, it's your steak, it's your vegetables, it's your fruit. It's the things that you cook minimally, to make it more appetizing. But that stuff is going to be a world of difference, man. So those will probably be the two biggest things. And the last thing, this is great. When you go
actually, Nick, hold that last thing until we come back from this. Until we come back from this break. I think I might know. I think I might be able to guess what that last thing is. But hold that until we come back from this break, man. Because this is like I'm sitting here thinking, man, we just like the tip of the iceberg on so much of this stuff, man. We got to have probably a multiple conversation on this thing over some period of time. But in terms of this whole fitness thing. So anyhow, but we're going to go to a break really quick. We'll be right back. Mad Men and Masculinity on KLDC. Boom.
Yeah, if you
Man,
didn't do it, I was about to do it. I was like,
there's
time out.
yeah. Man, there's so much. Man, there's like so many. And I'm sitting there, I'm getting more and more like questions, thoughts, and
Yeah.
ideas, and all that kind of stuff, man. And oh man, there's just so much
But
that
it makes so
folks
much
could.
sense because most folks be like, "Oh, I'm
Yeah,
just gonna go to the gym and I'm just gonna work out." It's like, well, did you sleep?
yeah,
Did you eat? Are you eating properly? Are you
yeah,
setting yourself up for success, or you just end up hurting
yeah,
yourself like most of us fools do? We go back in the gym and be like,
yeah,
"Oh, I'm gonna max out. Oh, now I can't lift my
yeah.
arms. I just
Yeah,
tore
I
my
mean,
rotator cuff."
it's fascinating, right? Because it really is, I think a lot of times you think about like a New Year's resolution, and I always tell people that I think the three biggest topics people make a resolution about are their finances, their health, and their fitness. And it's like, well, why are those
Mhm.
common things? And I think it's because it's easy to skip over or neglect or find yourself out of those. And that's not a judgment thing, but when you start thinking about health in particular, per some of the things that I was saying, you hear a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
Oh man, I'm tired, or I couldn't go to the gym. I really wanted to, but I ran out of time. Man, I got hurt, or you know what? This thing happened. And it's like
Mhm.
that happens to almost everybody. You hear that narrative floating around. And I love that because as a content creator, as a business professional, it's easier for me to speak to a point. And if I can almost connect with a person, it's like, wow, man, you sound, how do you know that? You sound like you
Mhm.
living at home with me.
Mhm.
It's because those are the things, man, most people will neglect. And that's
Yeah.
why, you hear those topics of conversation coming up in podcasts or books or, with thought leaders,
Mhm.
because it's like, hey, you think you're going to go to the gym and it's going to be, new Nikes and bench press and protein shakes. As the minority, it's effective and it's important, but what usually causes people not to go to the gym or to mess up on their health are those holes. It's like Mario, you didn't see that hole. Keep
Mhm.
opening that thing, man. It's what happens.
Boom.
Let's talk about that when we
That's
come back from the break. Let's
yeah.
talk about some of the things that people need to think about when they're ready to come back.
Yeah.
The holes that
You remember, but you still remember the third thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna
All
ask you
right,
if
all right,
you
here we
got
go.
it right, man.
Yeah, no, here we go. All right. We're back.
We're back.
Your boys are back,
Back on
man.
the
I tell you
air.
what, man. If y'all ain't checking us out on YouTube and Facebook, I mean, we just had like a whole
Whole nother
mid break,
conversation.
whole nother conversation, man. And that's the stuff you get when you check us out on YouTube, man. And so before we went to a break, man, you kind of had a couple lists. You went through one and two of things that we don't think about necessarily in terms of working in the in terms of gym exercise and fitness. What was the third thing?
Well, Kirk, you said that you think you knew what I was going to say. I'm curious. What were you going to say?
Well, I thought you were just about to go down the road of just recovery, period, and just just the balance and all that. I could be totally wrong, but like I said, I thought you were just about to elaborate on the whole idea of just recovery and allowing for that bounce back to see the results.
I think that's you're on the right path, man. I was going to say the warm up and
Mm,
the load up and the load down. When people go to the gym, man, you just kind of get there, especially if you're coming from work, especially if you're going to work, which means that time is a major variable, right? And so if time's a major variable and you're interested in making these changes, then it's like, all right, let's get to it, especially when you're coming back in New Year's, January, and you forgot that, again, not to go too scientific, but we talk about hormones like cortisol. We talk about blood flow. And if anybody's ever played a sport or even, in PE class when you were in, elementary school, you'd have to run around, teacher make you touch your toes, and you'd have to do jumping jacks. And it's like, there's utility to that. That wasn't just torture and for them to laugh at you and you to point out who can't do jumping jacks. You're warming your body up, you're priming, you're lubricating your joints, you're elevating your heart rate, you're getting hormones inside your body to come out that's going to allow you to thrive. Your adrenaline, noradrenaline, your cortisol, those allow you to exercise. And so we don't do that warm up when we go to the gym. I think to your point, Jason, that's how, someone tears a hamstring because they get in there and they're like, oh man, my shoulder hurts. Or that stops someone from going to the gym because they're like, I have a bad shoulder. Yeah, but if you lubricate that, man, I promise you, one, you're going to have less pain throughout the days, but you're also capable of working out and you're going to be able to avoid the injuries. To that point, when people leave the gym, and again, this is one of those things people are guilty of. They, throw the sweats on. They're just like, great, let's get home. Let's get to work. Let's get in the shower, whatever. And it's like, give yourself 5-10 minutes. That's all you need. 5-10 minutes right after the workout. Go find a spot and tone it down. You're getting ready to go into traffic. You're getting ready to handle conversations, dealing with the kids, dealing with coworkers or business partners. And it's like, you want to be in business partner mode. You want to be in dad mode or mom mode. You want to be in that mode. And you just sat there and, crushed a great workout. You got to bring down that temperament and allow your body, like you were saying, Kirk, to get into that state of recovery. And the body understands that. And, a good example of that is, a lion will go down and chase, and it's all these things I'm talking about, it's literally triggered in its body. But when it's done, it sits in the sun for, 14, 15 hours directly after. It doesn't really move in its body because it's like, hey, you got to recharge, you got to rekindle. So getting a chance to, bring your heart rate down, go through some stretches, making sure that, you're good to go, and putting the water and the minerals back in your body, it's going to do wonders for you. And it doesn't take much time at all, man. 5-10 minute warm up, 5-10 minute cool down is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of hospital visits.
I say he brings up a good point too, because we always, you want to warm up, you want to set yourself up for success. But I know for a lot of us, because of our stress levels and poor diets and not having, being sedentary at work and whatnot, we tend to add to our diet. For, say, we do some pre-workout or we do some, whatever it is, some caffeine, some coffee before we go to the gym to try to get that boost. What would you suggest would be a good way if somebody's like coming to the gym, they want to set themselves up for that success, but maybe they don't need to be drinking Rockstar or Red Bull to get themselves boosted before they head to the gym?
Right. Well, okay. So the first thing is, if you're going to the gym after work, the average person is getting off between, 3 and 5 o'clock. And assuming that you're going to go to bed at a decent time, because we already covered that conversation, I don't recommend a stimulant-based workout or pre-workout or a stimulant, coffee, Himbine, whatever. And a lot of people are like, no, man, I do night caps all the time. One of the reasons that we talked about setting yourself up for success is making sure that you're not putting yourself in a hole before you've actually started your day. And I think a great day starts the night before. So, people are like, I can't sleep. That's a common issue. Well, if you're having that issues of that insomnia, that's probably hormone related to the fact that you had, a stimulant pre-workout. And this stuff is, I'm a fan of pre-workout, but, in moderation. That stuff's got, more things than you actually understand. So be mindful of that. If you're working out late, you can do a pre-workout, but make sure it's stimulant free. You can get a lot of the blood flow benefits and things like that are actually going to help aid your workout and give you that enhanced cognition, that focus, but you don't need, 400 milligrams of caffeine in order to do that. And if you're working out in the morning, again, I think that caffeine is great, but you want it to be a tool, not a crutch. Right. Meaning people wait. And this is great also for people who aren't going to necessarily work out in the morning, waking up and you're like, I got to get my coffee. Well, you just fell asleep for 6 to 8 hours. And in that time, most of the time people wake up and they pee. You're peeing out minerals and you're peeing out water. So why don't you go put that mineral and the water back in your body and let your adenosine receptors wake up. And then you can have a cup of coffee and you're going to find that it actually allows you to feel good. And we can have conversations about what you should put in your coffee and, what is an acceptable cocktail to make in the morning to get you hydrated. But I would say wake up, get hydrated. And then when you go to the gym, you want to take your pre-workout. That's fine, man. You can take pre-workout right as you're starting your workout and you're great. So don't wake up and pot of coffee. A lot of times I know people have done that and they're like, that's taboo. I wake up, the first thing I do is go for my coffee. I'm telling you, man, maybe go for your mineral cocktail in the morning first, and you're going to start to notice, man, you're not losing the day before it's starting.
So what is there a super quick on this one? Is there a better time of day to work out for your body in terms of morning or evening?
Great question, Kirk. I talk about this often. If you have the autonomy and the luxury, I always say that I think working out in the morning is going to be great. Many reasons as to why, but just really quick. One, you're giving to yourself first. I think if you can prioritize yourself first, you're going to be a better for whatever hat you're wearing later in the day. Two, you drop your blood sugar. There's a process of something we call AMPK, and if you can bring your blood sugar down, it's more likely to be stable throughout the day, which means that you're going to have your insulin levels under control. So you're less likely to have that 2 o'clock hit, that low feeling, and you're not going to feel like you need to have that 7th cup of coffee, or you need to go get that sugar boost right after lunch, because you're more likely to be consistent. And the third thing is, if you go to the gym and you work out, you're less likely to deal with the meteorites that will fall out of the sky later that will probably redirect you. What do I mean by that? Mm-hmm. I coach people for a living, and a lot of it is telling people, hey, this is going to be the exercise or the food that's going to help you get where you want to go. But that's the kindergarten or first grade math. The hard part is going to the gym. And if you can't go to the gym because, such and such left their book report at home, you got to go get it. You're on a meeting, that meeting went 40 minutes longer. Now your day is backtracked. There's traffic. Murphy's Law is going to happen. I tell people, expect that. That's part of the discipline. That's part of the process. And if you go to the gym in the morning, your phone's not going to ring because no one's up. And if they are, they're at the gym. So if you go to the gym, you're able to make those things a priority. You're going to see yourself more resilient, more empowered, more gratified with your things that you say, and all the other things regarding your health are going to be more aligned, and you're going to find yourself going downhill as opposed to going uphill.
Yeah, because I found that I have more control over the beginning part of my day than the end part of my day, in terms of, like you said, all the stuff that could happen. And when that alarm goes off, man, and man, that's that conversation begins. That alarm goes off, and then you have to do that negotiation of, man, I don't feel like going.
I can stay in bed for 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes,
man. Give me a snooze, give me 9 more minutes, all that kind of stuff. I remind myself that I can't think of a single day that I've ever felt like getting up and going to the gym in the morning, but I can also never think of a single day where I regretted getting up and going to the gym in the morning. Like, I always felt better afterwards, even though I had to do the mental gymnastics of literally just that first move. It's like that first movement to move the sheet, or that first movement to roll over and put the feet on the floor. Like, once I got past that, and then afterwards on my way home, I always appreciated it and I always felt better. So, man, I totally, I've experienced everything you're saying in terms of that beginning part of the day thing.
One interesting thing, Kirk, if I could share this, I think, Jason, you were about to say something too, man. I want to hear what you got to say, but I heard this. I can't take credit for this. I heard this from someone else on a different media cast, but 2 things that people can do. If you're going to be that, I think this is so some people said Shakespeare's quoted it. Some people have given this to Lao Tzu, who was a Asian philosopher. But regardless of who said it, know thyself, right? My translation is, don't try to pimp the pimp. If you're going to be a person that's like, oh, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and then you're going to be hitting that snooze button. If you're the person that sets multiple alarms on your phone in the morning, you're already telling yourself that you're going to do it as a call out, right? Mm-hmm. So what I like to tell people here's a simple hack. Put your phone in the kitchen. Here's why. People will hit the snooze button, but they feel safe because they have their phone. But if your phone is in the kitchen in a different room, you're emotionally compelled to get up and check on your phone, right? So if you get up, go pee, you're up. It doesn't mean you won't go back to bed, but you're less likely to struggle against that battle of pushing the button and then falling back asleep and just tucking the covers under you, especially in the winter, if it snows, right? Jason, if it snows. And the second thing I think is put an alarm clock. Go back traditional. I know a lot of people, but we're like you said, this is a podcast for men, so most of us remember what it's like to have those old digital or analog alarm clocks. Man, you can go to Walmart, Amazon. It's an easy stocking stuffer. Order one for yourself. Don't even think about it. You're going to go check out the golf clubs and look at all of the stuff on your links. Get an alarm clock, set it down. Your wife or your partner will think it's hilarious. And literally, that thing can be the most obnoxious. And make sure that it's not in hand's reach. That's the last thing.
Yeah.
Put it on top of your get up. You're going to get up and turn that thing off.
Yeah.
You
put it across the room, make it annoying. It's time for us to take our third break. Yeah, we're going to take our third break. We are the Madmen of Masculinity. This is KLDC, and we'll be right back. Caught that one on time.
I tell you what's a good hack is put that alarm clock in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And that way, when you go to turn it off, you gotta look at yourself in the mirror.
That made me.
You gotta look at yourself in the mirror.
Dude.
Yeah, you put the stuff on the mirror the night before.
Yeah,
you get up in the mirror, you got to look at it, and now you
gotta look at that thing, man.
That we call that anchors of leverage, and that's a whole different more of a psychology. But it's like everybody wants to be in shape. This is like a metaphor for the single guy that wants to get back in the dating scene, right? On Monday morning, he's not motivated to go to the gym, and he's motivated to go, sleep in and then hit McDonald's because in the moment it's like, well, this is convenient, right? And it's hard to have that friction, that discipline. When he thinks about that, when he's going to have regret, that's going to be on Friday when his friends call him to be like, hey man, let's go out and talk to girls, and he doesn't want to put the shirt on because he's not going to look good. So I always find that your point, Jason, if you put the word or the goal or the vision board more compelling, or that challenge to yourself in the bathroom, and you have to get up and look at it.
Yeah.
To make that decision. You said, yeah. And you that's a hard pill to swallow first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
That's something.
That's personal accountability right there, man.
Yeah. Well, that's something we should bring up in the last segment is, because we always talk about get a group of guys around you, make sure you got your boys. It's much easier to be held accountable and to hold yourself accountable when you got other guys relying on you to be there as well, to hold them accountable. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit.
And then there's the other thing of putting your workout stuff next to your bed, making it so that you don't have to go dig all that out in the morning. Put your shoes, your shirt, shorts, or whatever you're gonna put it right next to your bed, so that when you do get that feet on that floor, you can hurry up and put it on. I got a what I think is the $1 million question in terms of a fitness journey going into the new year.
All right, well, hang on, let's get this started again.
All right,
like to do this.
All right, let's go. We're back.
And we're back.
We're back. I'm telling y'all, man. Your boys, Madmen of Masculinity, you did it. I'm telling you, man. This is one of the ones where you want to see all the stuff that's in between and all that kind of stuff. You want to see the extra goodies, man.
Yeah,
the extra goodies.
So
I got man, what I think might be for the guy that's either on the fence or wants to make that move in terms of wants to do a fitness journey, wants to, get into the gym, all that kind of stuff. The $1 million question to me, well, first of all, my idea of the term that I've heard, gym intimidation kind of thing, is the intimidation of going into the gym is not knowing your way around, not knowing the equipment, not knowing, how to use what and all those kinds of things. Which obviously the staff there can help you, but some people don't want to be embarrassed and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And so to me, along with that, the $1 million question for the guy is how do I get started in terms of a plan, in terms of a routine, in terms of, I walk in the door, now what? Do I, where do I find, what do I do? Where do I find the actual gym routine? How do I get started?
That's a great question, man. Let me say this as a disclaimer. My interest as a health coach and as a fitness evangelist is always what's in the best interest for people, because that's what compelled me as a coach to serve people. I'll leave that there. Having said that, there's two kinds of people in the world, maybe three. There's the individual that's going to have the broken car and he's not going to do anything about it. We're not talking about him. There's the guy that's like, the car doesn't work or the car has an issue. Jason, if your car didn't work, all of a sudden, lights are on, whatever, what would you do? Car doesn't work. What would you do?
Oh, I would be researching, YouTubing, calling a mechanic, like figuring out what's the issue, and let's fix it.
Call a
I need
mechanic.
that car.
We'll take it to a mechanic. Kirk, what would you do?
I would probably, me personally, I'd probably go to YouTube and look up what the problem is and how to fix it.
So that's it, right? You got one person that's like, hey, I'm going to go to the professional and figure out what's going on, let them plug it in with it. And you got the other person that's like, hey, man, I'm going to go and do a little bit of research. I don't think that either one is a bad answer. What I tell people is, if you have something, right, like open heart surgery, or your spouse or your sibling that's having birth, you want to make sure that the person on the receiving end, that doctor, that physician, is qualified to handle that, because that's not something you can fumble. We tend to be more nonchalant with our health because we're just like, oh, it gets wrong, I'm going to figure it out. The first thing that I would tell people to what you just said, Kirk, is don't think about the gym for bigger pecs and abs. Yes, all that's great, man. That's what we want, right? But that's always the byproduct. What does it cost you? You got to ask yourself that question, right? What is it costing you? Be honest with yourself. Are you drinking too much? Can you not fit in, 3/4 of your clothes? Are you having for the fourth time to go back to get to the, clothes, whatever it is, right? Because at some reality, we're not having that conversation. You can have that conversation. You really know what it's costing you. You're going to make it a higher priority. The second thing is, I tell people, get it right. Me personally, if my car fails, I'm going to take it to a mechanic. I already know it's going to be one of two people. One of them's close by, and the other one I'm going to call and be like, hey, man, what do you think I should do? Why? Because I want the problem fixed. I don't want to be in a month from now, the same situation happened because I thought I could just go to AutoZone and buy a couple things and do it myself, right? So I want the problem resolved. Same thing when it comes to fitness. If you're going to go talk to somebody who has done the thing that you're happening, maybe you have a friend. I think every guy has one person that they know. Maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's a close friend, maybe it's a coworker. And you look at him and you're just like, that guy don't make, wow, like, right? And it's like, start there. What do you do, man? What do you do that allows you to have the can do or the feeling or whatever it is? Simple answer, especially if you have the money, pay it. Even if you are close, you're like, I don't know if I have the money. Because guys, I'll say this. Here's something about the guys. Women are three times more likely to spend money on beauty, health than men are. And I think a lot of that comes from the guys like, I can figure it out, man. No, dude, get it right? You want to go and be the man. Go talk to the person that's already solved it. Hey, man, you're 40. You're not going to want to start that. You need to warm the shoulders up. Hey, man, yes, it's important that you're lifting weights, but you got to get some cardio. You know what I like to do? I like to watch my favorite shows when I do cardio. Oh, man, that's a great idea. Hey, man, straight up, probably don't want to eat that 10 o'clock at night before you go to bed. Like,
put that pizza away.
Go talk to the guy who has the thing, because they're going to offer you some support. And we as men, having conversations with our spouses, our kids, oh, man, you want to spend money? Like, make the money that you're spending make sense. That's what we always say to the people, right? Yeah. Okay, say that same thing to you. Have that moment of equanimity. If you go and you spend $300, $200, a couple thousand on money, it's probably going to help you get out of bed, at least in the beginning, right? Because you're going to say, but that's the point. You want to create leverage to help you get more fit. It's hilarious when people walk into a cell phone store. You guys ever had this happen? When people walk into a cell phone store and they don't want to get on a contract, and I'm like, do you not plan on having a phone for 2 years? You clearly want to have a phone. And people are like, well, I don't want to spend the money because they're going to make me come to the gym. That's kind of the point, right? Like, you want to go to the gym, you want to be held accountable. And the second thing that I would say is your friend group, your group of people. And that's a whole different thing. I know some people have a friend group, and that's not necessarily the friend group that you want holding you accountable at the gym. But as a whole, find an accountability group that's going to, speak it to you transparently with compassion, but be honest, because those people will help you, man, stay consistent. And if you can have enough days where you're going to win, you'll probably get over that hump and you'll do better.
Well, I mean, that's something that we advocate so much. I mean, we always talk about have a group of guys around you, elevate your friend group. And if you want to go to the gym, if you want to get healthy and you're not sure how to do it, you're not sure how to start, you're not sure what to do, you're watching YouTube videos and trying to figure out, do I want functional? Do I want weightlifting? Do I want yoga? You don't know. The best way to elevate yourself will probably be to get a group of guys or join a gym where there are a group of guys, because at least they're trying to be healthy, and hang out with them, make them your accountability buddies, make them your group, your crew. Because I bet you they're better off than the guys at the bar. They're better off with the guys at the wing stop, so change your friend groups up and do that. But yeah, that was something I wanted to bring up, and you already hit the nail on the head with it, is that having a group of guys at the gym who you can work out with and hold them accountable, they can hold you accountable. But it's just something we as guys need. I mean, to your point of, you got your family, you got your job, you got your kids, you got all these other responsibilities and priorities. Making your health a priority with other guys is probably the healthiest thing any man can do.
Absolutely. I read this stat to chime what you're saying, Kirk, is that, back in the day, when we were hunter-gatherers in any, part of societies that we would live in before, we were in the 21st century, that was a rite of passage. Well, the men would go together and they would bond. They would talk about, the man stuff. But part of that was the bonding stuff. They would go do physical stuff. You had to figure out what was your way to contribute to the tribe and the longevity for everybody. And that was not just for yourself, because obviously you wanted to find a mate and a spouse. But part of that was like, hey, people depend on you. And I think as men, that's a pressure, but we thrive on that. We thrive on people saying, hey, I need you to help me or be my leader or protect me. And there's that software that's an automatic download. And so, whether it's guys at the gym, that's great. But as a whole, I think we're always trying to be better men, right? We want to respond to stress better. We want to find ways to get the bag better, do that more efficiently, find ways to be more understanding with our significant other and be more compassionate and less, despondent. And so all those things kind of circles back. If you can find a guy that you're like, hey, this is somebody I actually wouldn't mind spending time around. I admire the energy this guy gives off. Wow, he works out, or, I like hunting, he likes hunting, or, what, he's, he goes to the same church that I want to go to, or, wow, he's really found a way to climb the ladder and do well for himself. Look at it, because, like, to your point, Kirk, I don't know if you said this, or Jason, I don't know if you said it, but, hey, your friend at the, that knows everything about your favorite football team. Don't get me wrong, I'm a Colts fan, heartbreaking season, but I talk about Colts, there's a time and a place, but if all your friends doing is drinking beer, eating wings, pizza, and talking about the football team and the Broncos and, this, you have to ask yourself reality. Okay, he's in worse shape than I am. Do I want that? He might be your buddy, but you might say, hey, man, I wouldn't trade places with that guy. It's a hard conversation to have with ourselves, whereas it's a harder conversation to say, hey, man, this guy's really got it put together. Ask him. And I bike twice a week. I go to the gym and lift weights, or I take my son. And you're like, oh, I didn't think about taking my son to the gym. Yeah, man, your kids are going to watch you. Your kids are going to watch what you're doing. So
great opportunity for all of that. I don't want to shortcut you at the end here, Nick. You are in this space professionally. How and what capacities do you help work with other people? And then I want to hurry up and I also want to allow opportunity for you to let people know how to get a hold of you. But in what capacities do you help people professionally in this fitness space?
That's a great question, Kurt. Everything that you just basically said, man. I've been blessed to do this for almost 2 decades now, and what I found is that, you know, people need a size that fits them where they're at. So whether people are in a position where they're just starting, men and women, or they're in a position where they've kind of lost the edge, they want to figure out how to get it back, everything in between. The easiest way that I'm able to coach to help people is through coaching. And is a relationship. I've already built the software, the program, and we find out not just the specs, right? What people should be eating, what people should be doing for their health, but ultimately, how does this work with the lifestyle that's going to work for you? I think one of the biggest things, it goes without being said, but New Year's is around and a lot of people fail because they bite off more than they can chew, and they think that they're going to come out and do this thing when the reality is this thing's going to be a better fit for them at this stage in life. That helps people find out what fit they're going to be best successful at in the long term, and then take them scientifically, professionally at scale, and how they slowly climb that ladder. So then
how do folks get a hold of you?
You know, if people are on social media, like you were saying, Kurt, very kindly, I'm all over social media. I've got a YouTube channel, Natt Fitness, Level Up Nation. If, you know, people are on Instagram or Facebook, you can just type in Natt Fitness. I'm all over there too. But the easiest way to connect with me and just get a hold of me directly is through my website, nattfitness.com. There's all of the services, all the things that I do. I've got a blog on there. So if people want to get more familiar, they can. Or if people want to figure out how I or my team might be able to help them go from point A to point B, there's plenty of ways that they can send a message, and I can connect with them from there.
Right on.
Awesome,
Well, thank you so
man.
much for showing up, for being the man you are, for you know, teaching us what we need to know about, you know, getting fit in the new year. And I probably have to have you back on because we, like Kurt said, we barely scratched the surface of this iceberg. So you know, stay swole, stay fit, and until next time, we're the Madmen of Masculinity. That's Nicholas Natt, and we are out.